It is indeed a great pleasure to have you join us on this episode of NAFDAC in Your Health. This program is brought to you by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, the agency charged with the responsibility of safeguarding the health of Nigerians. And on the program, the agency intimates you with their activities, policies, and programs geared towards the fulfillment of her mandate. I am Okpejemi Orimolade. Today's episode of NAFDAC and Your Health will be focusing on the efforts of NAFDAC to ensure the drugs made available to the public are wholesome and do not have adverse effects on their health or result in undesired results when taken. We will also be looking at the strategies and tools put in place by NAFDAC to address the menace of adverse drug reaction and adverse effects following immunization. And then, on the second segment, we will be bringing highlights from a stakeholders meeting, which was held by the Saving Lives and Livelihood project to advance pharmacovigilance in Nigeria. Drugs are meant to serve curative and healing purposes, but when drugs begin to have adverse reactions other than the desired effects, then the issue calls for serious concern. This situation, known as adverse drug reaction, is one that NAFDAC has given serious attention because of the danger it poses to public health. The agency, in fulfilling its mandate of safeguarding the health of the nation, has geared concerted and decisive efforts at tackling the issue of adverse drug reaction and adverse effects following immunization in terms of safety monitoring, and these efforts have helped to stem the tide greatly. But NAFDAC is still unrelenting in ensuring that the menace is not allowed to rear its ugly head.
To get to maturity level 3, NAFDAC was benchmarked, audited for 8 functions. One of the 8 functions is drug facility inspection. Why is drug facility inspection so important? It is extremely important because if a company is not following good manufacturing practices, the product will very likely be compromised and it can endanger public health. What are good manufacturing practices? They are practices that are of international standards that cover from the restroom or the toilet of a company to even the office of the manager, where they do documentation or keep records, to the manufacturing facility itself, the floor, manufacturing floor, to the laboratories. These good manufacturing practices cover a lot, to the warehouse. Because if you walk through a drug facility, you can easily know what the product is going to be like. Let's start with the receiving section. I get to a company and they have bags of raw materials on the floor, not on the pallet, not away from the floor. Very likely the product of that company is not going to be good. Why? Because when you store things on the floor, and these are not things you just keep on the floor for one day and then move. First of all, you're not supposed to put them on the bare floor. Now these products of materials stay there for a while. The floor will be breathing into it, moisture. So when you mix moisture and the temperature in the room, if it is high, you break down the product fast. And what you put into a product, meaning the ingredients, whether it is active ingredients, the drug, or the non-active ingredients, the excipients, what you put into the product is what you get. So even as simple as the warehouse or the receiving section of a company, it must be of international standard. Now, you move into even the placement of the toilet and the floor. They cannot be that close because the likelihood of contamination will be there. So that is, it may look innocuous or not so important, but it's extremely important. If it is a day-to-day thing, somebody runs into the toilet and then come and start touching tablets or touching machine, it can endanger people's health because of contamination. Now you go to the floor itself. What is the environment? If the environment is not clean, very likely the product is going to be bad. Because it is from little things that you take quality away or you add quality into the process or the product. Do they have standard operation procedure for everything they are doing? Do they have standard operation procedure? Do they have record of the machine performance? Meaning this machine has been running, for 24 hours. We have data in terms of how many tablets per minute. Do we do in-process testing? Is the tablet too soft at a particular time during the processing, or too hard, or it is according to specification? All these things are what are called in-process testing. Can the tablets break easily when they move, rub against each other? Examples of things that the inspector look for. So these are the types of good manufacturing practices that a manufacturer has to know. When you finish your production, you have to leave the batch in a quarantine area until it is tested, until there's quality control and whatnot. Is there a good flow? Because if you have a quarantine here and you have to go to the end of the building to go and do testing and to go and do hardness testing and whatnot, the probability of errors will be there. So these are the things that we look for. How well can the room be cleaned? You cannot have this, a wall that has matted paint, regular paint in a manufacturing something, because the likelihood of transferring that paint into a product may be there. So the wall has to be easily cleaned walls. There must not be edges where things can settle. Dust can settle and can be transferred. So these are things that we look for, our inspectors look for when they do good manufacturing practices. These are prerequisites to approve a product. If the company doesn't meet the requirements or the prerequisites, we give the company preventive action or corrective action, preventive action, what we call CAPA. That A, B, C, D, E, based on our laws or our regulation, you are not meeting this guideline, not meeting that guideline.
Pharmacovigilance or safety monitoring does not stop after a company that manufactures the drugs has been approved. The process continues still.
When we now approve that company, let's say that we got CAPA for them, they address the CAPA, and we approve the product. If the lab if the lab chemistry is good, we give them approval for 5 years if it is drug. If it is herbal, we give 2 years. However, we found out that some companies change whatever procedure they showed us, we corrected them on. They change after approval because they know they have 5 years. So what is NAFDAC doing? Part of our maturity level 3 audit is to change the way we assess products, to start doing risk-based assessment. Meaning There are some products that you cannot but test before you approve. But there are some products that you don't need to test before you approve. What we now do is we wait until they get to the market. Post-marketing, risk-based post-marketing surveillance. Such products, anti-malarials, antiretrovirals, anti-tuberculosis, we put a premium on them during post-marketing surveillance. We still test some if they have inherent capability to break down because of storage. There are so many factors that we use in selecting the ones that we would not test for registration, and the ones that we wait after registration to test. Because there has been cases where they change formulation on us or process, we do routine inspection, unannounced inspection. Meaning within the 5 years, we may come. Once in 3 months, once in 6 months, once in a year, we schedule. But it is not the demand or the request at the request of the manufacturer. It is our own schedule. And it is sad to find out that some companies forget what they were corrected for and start doing whatever they want to do during that 5-year period. There are some that didn't even come to us that are manufacturing illegally. Again, when I say some, we are not talking of hundreds, because how many companies do we have? But few are bad enough. So what we are doing now is clamping down. Why are we clamping down? Because of me and you. Because we use the medicine. And if the medicine is bad, it's not just that it's not going to make me feel well. It may make me not to feel well for another illness that I will have in the future, if it is antibiotics, for example. So it is extremely important to let our manufacturers know that NAFDAC is here to stand by their side, to work with them if they are ready to follow international standards. And most companies follow international standards, but those that don't, we shut them down, or we shut their lines down until they do the correct.
We hope you all enjoying NAFDAC in your health. The program continues shortly.
No way. I'm never taking vaccines again or giving it to my child. My head aches. My child is eating. That would have been me if I did not know better that reactions after vaccination are called adverse events following immunizations, AEFI. And it is normal. In fact, it often indicates that the vaccines are working effectively. Yes, every individual reacts differently. It can be serious or non-serious, such as fever, fatigue, headache, dizziness, pain, swelling at injection site, rashes, etc. So don't be scared about taking vaccines. All vaccines are certified by WHO and approved by NAFDAC. The benefit of vaccination far outweighs the adverse events that could follow. To report any adverse events, visit the health center where you receive the vaccine or one nearest to you, or call the phone number on your vaccination card. You can also report AEFI using the MedSafety app. Vaccines are free, safe, and effective. Get vaccinated today. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, and the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. For further inquiries, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 7722.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to NAFDAC and your health.
The science and activity relating to monitoring the safety of medicines and to ensure the medicines taken do what they are meant to do in the body was again the subject of discourse recently at a gathering in Lagos, organized by the Directorate of Pharmacovigilance of NAFDAC. In her address at the meeting, the director in charge of the directorate, Mrs. Uchenna Elemowa, spoke about why NAFDAC takes pharmacovigilance with such seriousness.
We know that every drug is supposed to be treating a particular ailment, but we also know that in addition to doing what they are supposed to do, different people react differently to the use of medicines. And that is why it is very, very critical that we enlighten the public, the healthcare providers, the marketing authorization holders, all relevant stakeholders on this issue of pharmacovigilance.
The director in charge of pharmacovigilance also spoke about the Saving Lives and Livelihood project, which NAFDAC is currently working on.
Currently, we're working with Saving Lives and Livelihood project, a pharmacovigilance program that we have designed to see how we can strengthen the pharmacovigilance system in Nigeria. We have so many activities in this project. We're looking at how we can strengthen the hospital health facilities staff and also ensure that all healthcare providers and their health facilities integrate pharmacovigilance into their operations, day-to-day operations, because it will be a very great disservice to patients that they have come to the hospital for treatment and at the end of the day they get burdened with additional ADRs. We know that these adverse drug reactions due to medicines use or adverse event following immunization due to vaccine use are common because the way Mr. A reacts to a vaccine or a drug is different from the way Mr. B will react to it. This project, Saving Lives and Livelihood project, has come on board to help us look at gaps in our pharmacovigilance system and also offer well-articulated activities that can be implemented to close these gaps. We are working to see how we strengthen the health facilities in terms of their pharmacovigilance build-up. We are also working on how we will strengthen the marketing authorization holders such that they have established systems and they have identified human resources that will monitor their products while these products are in the market. We have also, in a bid to improve pharmacovigilance in Nigeria, collaborated with different stakeholder groups in the past. We collaborated with the African Union Smart Safety Surveillance, where about 5 countries during the COVID pandemic came together and put activities, systems in place on how we can actually monitor the safety of COVID-19 vaccines and see what the effect or the impact or the safety profile is within the African sub-region. We've been able to do that and we have publications on that. We also have collaborated in training healthcare providers across the nation to see how and build awareness, to see how pharmacovigilance can improve, the pharmacovigilance system can improve in country. So it is all hands on deck because the central point is the patient. We must all work together to ensure patient safety.
Mrs. Elemowa added that the members of the press were invited to help drive awareness creation on the program because the fourth realm of the estate has always been a core part of NAFDAC's activities. Stakeholders at the meeting also spoke on the significance of the initiative, the importance of reporting adverse drug reaction, and what they are bringing to the table.
We are partnering with key agencies concerning the reporting of adverse drug reaction. But it's not only adverse drug reaction. Adverse event following immunization is also part of our goal. And we are partnering with NCDC, we are partnering with NPCDA, and of course NAFDAC. NAFDAC is in the driving seat, and the goal of this project is to ensure that Nigerians report.
This project, the Saving Lives and Livelihood, is a project that has brought itself to assist the government, NAFDAC, to make sure, because the cost of building capacity in pharmacovigilance is enormous. It's not something that government alone can do. It's something that requires help from stakeholders. So they're trying to galvanize people so that they will be able to join hands, join voices to tell people to build capacity on how to report these adverse drug reactions. As she has mentioned, the Med Safety app. There's also paper reporting, there's electronic reporting, and so many means of reporting. Whichever one is available to the person, they can utilize it and report. The important thing, the catchword is that we must report adverse drug reactions or adverse events following immunization. Let me tell you something. We looked at the data on adverse drug reactions in 2024, and based on WHO benchmark on how to be reported adequately, Nigeria, as a nation with 200 and something million people, was supposed to report 46,000 reports for that year alone. Do you know how many reports that were found? 4,600. That is roughly 10%. So you can see that this issue of underreporting, which everybody is talking about, is real. And unless we do something, we do our own bits with regards to this, we're not moving forward.
So it's a great honor to actually be collaborating with colleagues of other MDAs and of course our academic institutions, and also partners supporting pharmacovigilance, looking deeply at adverse drug reaction and even adverse effect following immunization. So we think it's really key that we partner with NAFDAC and also with the NPACD in seeing how we can improve reporting, especially of ADROs and AEFI. We think that pharmacovigilance has to be strengthened, and this study gives us the opportunity to be able to strengthen the processes of identifying, reporting, and also feedback. And also looking at engagement with communities. Of course, these things would happen in the communities or health facilities.
NPACD as one of the key stakeholders in this project. One of the priority interventions we are trying to implement in the country is in the area of public education, because when the public realize that NPACD and NAFDAC attach more importance to vaccine safety, they are likely to trust the vaccination program and more likely to get vaccinated.
The Save Life and Livelihood project is not just focusing on drugs and vaccines. It also focuses on medical devices because there are adverse drug reactions that are basically caused by medical devices.
This is where we'll draw the curtains on this episode of the program. We hope you've been informed and enlightened on how to stay healthy. Another insightful package of the program will be brought to you next week. You can reach out to us if you have comments, complaints, reports, and observations, as these will further help us in our efforts to safeguard public health.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Don't forget, it is criminal to import, produce, distribute, or sell unwholesome food products, expired drug, adulterated or substandard cosmetics, and unapproved or substandard medical devices or chemicals. These acts pose serious threats to public health. Join us. Let's eradicate this act so that our society can remain healthy. Till we come your way again next week. Bye for now.